Would you have talked about Robert Lee, the football broadcaster, being taken off the Virginia game on your SportsCenter?
Of course not.
Why?
I don't believe that we would have done that because it's Colin Kaepernick is an NFL, he's an athlete.
But this got big. And I know it's in-house. I'm surprised ESPN reacted the way they did with, taking him off the game. And somebody leaked it, and that's where it looks worse than what it is.
From what I know, and I really shouldn't even go too far because I don't know all the facts, but this was more about Robert Lee being uncomfortable on, not ESPN. Yes, this is more about Robert Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, truly. Now, after that, the reactions from there, I don't know. I don't really care.
We reached out to talk to him because we haven't heard, if he was uncomfortable.
It started in Charlotte.
Yes.
With those people saying, I wonder. And Robert Lee, I think we're trying to protect him, but not at all. Bristol saying, oh my goodness, look at the name. We better take it. No, it's not true.
Yeah. And I don't mean to put you in a delicate position, but you're talking about what SportsCenter is and what you can and cannot talk about. And
would you have done that back then?
Well, we would have been given the format.
Would you do it today if you were hosting?
Yes.
On ESPN?
Yes.
And how would you cover it? Like what would
I would want to have him on. I would ask John Skipper for comment on this.
Which he's given.
Yeah. So I would want him to come on. Remember the show Playmakers?
Yeah.
I was told I was not allowed to talk about Playmakers. And I brought in Mark Shapiro. He said, you can't. He called down to when we were on radio, and he was on the show from his office at ESPN about Playmakers because the NFL did not like Playmakers at all. And I went, this is loosely based on all of this. Why can't we talk about this? Why can't you talk about your
I mean, maybe we could. It's not something that I would bring up in a meeting and say, we should really talk about this. Because then it's like, oh, we're sitting there defending ourselves or something. The Colin Kaepernick is a completely different situation that I do believe deserves to be talked about, not incessantly.
But ESPN is defending
day.
Itself over Robert Lee. So you're doing it whether...
Well, at some point you have to. And again, I'm not a PR person. I don't want that job anytime soon, anywhere, much less ESPN. I don't know. I just don't. Here's the thing. When I turn on SportsCenter, that's not what I want to hear. As a viewer, okay, but what do you... I want to talk about, I want to see the highlights. I want to hear from Rich Hill. That's what I want as a viewer, and that's what I believe most viewers want when they turn to ESPN. Is less of this.
Did we get away? When did we get away from that?
Because you left 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, but we allowed First Take to happen. That's where you can talk about these things that you can't talk about on SportsCenter. Is that fair?
It's a completely different show. It's a talk show where you talk about those things and you debate about those things.
Yeah.
SportsCenter, that's not what it has ever been. We've brought more conversation into it, and many times important conversation, many times not. There's a lot of things I don't like. I mean, back in the day, however many years ago with Tebow, I didn't want to talk about Tebow every day, and he's a friend of mine. Tebow doesn't want us to talk about Tebow every day, and now he works for us, so it's all good. But there's a lot of these are the kind of discussions though that we'll have in meetings and need to be talked about. And what's the best way to cover it? But I will always go back to why did people turn us on when Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann were hosting, and why are they turning us on now? And in my opinion, it is not to hear about Charlottesville. It's not.
Yeah, I mean it's fair. But I'm wondering though, everything it feels like has to be a hot take. You have to have an opinion on everything there. I understand.
On First Take, that's not what we're going to be doing. We will have some opinions, the three of us. But I don't believe it's about us.
Oh, good.
It's about the games. It's about the highlights. It's about, let's show some standings. Let's talk about what's coming up tonight. I mean, I'm just old, I guess.
No, but that...
Old school.
I like that. It was that Keith and I had a built-in audience because you couldn't see these highlights. It's what you do with the highlights, how you make it different for the consumer to tune in and go, I've already seen it, now what do you do? That's the challenge you'll have.
And what they've seen on their phones and their devices is a 25-second clip of something. You're usually not going to sit there on your phone and watch a 2-minute highlight. And then what does it mean afterwards? And have Herm Edwards or Hasselbeck right there as well. So you'll get a clip, but there's a lot more to every highlight. It's a story. It's not just the home run, what happened before the home run. And that's what I still think we can bring that's different.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.